From 18 News, this is Watkins Glen International and its future with NASCAR.
Thank you for watching, and I know we're not airing Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune right now. Don't call the newsroom. Send us an email. We'll show you tomorrow where to send your complaints. I'm sorry about that. The racing world really, well, at least the racing world around here, was really shocked a couple of weeks ago when we found out that Watkins Glen International's race, the whole Cup Series, you know, the races, the Xfinity Series Craftsman Truck, it's going to May this year, and on top of that, it's on Mother's Day. And everybody kind of said, what? And so last week, Andy Melnoski, our sports director, and I went up to Watkins Glen and we met with Dawn Burlew, the president of the track, and Stephanie Harris from NASCAR, just to talk about things. And Dawn has agreed to be here now to answer your questions. And send them in right now. We're going to put the text number up in just a moment. You can text us. You can't call us on that number, so don't call us. There it is, 607-667-1818. Your questions will drive this program. We already have a ton of them in, and we really appreciate it. So start these programs the same way. First of all, welcome. Thank you for agreeing to be here today. Really appreciate it. And I need you to verify you and I have not discussed any of these questions. I haven't told you the questions anybody sent in. You have no idea what you're about to be asked.
No, I have not.
No, you do not. Okay. Well, I'll ask you a softball. I bet you were a little bit surprised when y'all found out that the race was moving to May. I almost said March, to May. I would assume there was a little bit of, oh my gosh, what do we do now? And then when reality set in, you told me you guys got moving.
We did. Yeah, I did. I got the call, and I said May, kind of like you did, May, right? And said, okay, well, what does that mean for timing-wise for us as a team? Because, you know, usually we go into a little bit of a quiet time at the end of the year. And then we start really planning in January. And we said, there's no quiet time. It's going to be heads down. And literally on Wednesday when it was announced, our team got together and we kind of took a deep breath for a couple days. And then that following Monday, we opened up and said, we own it, we got it, and we're going to produce it. So.
Okay, well, I'm going to jump right into the text questions because we have a ton of them. So the first question, why is NASCAR holding a race on Mother's Day? Isn't that something NASCAR has historically avoided? And I'll put a second question in here that somebody said, were you aware that the wife of NASCAR founder Bill France said the boys will not race on Easter or Mother's Day, they will be home? So what's NASCAR's purpose from this is two different texts we got. What's NASCAR's purpose for putting the Cup race on Mother's Day?
So yes, I am aware of the statement. So I'm not surprised at the question. Part of it is if you look at the schedule, we've expanded, we've added new locations, and we've spread out. You know, this year we went to Mexico, and you know, we're going to California for a second time on the military base, and we've moved the schedule around a little bit. And part of the reason to do that is to look at just being a little more innovative with the schedule and being able to offer the level of racing we do to more locations throughout the country. So in order to do that, of course, there's only so many weekends in the year, and everybody has to change and move around a little. It's always like putting a puzzle together. So when that happened, you know, other tracks have raced on Mother's Day. You know, Darlington did, and Kansas has. And so we have been super lucky, never having to move. But this time it said when layered on all the pieces, looking at where we're going to go, ours came up to need to move this year. And so Mother's Day it is. I think it'll be a great time for us.
Thought about doing anything special for Mom at the track that day? I was thinking Mom's Unlimited Mimosas might work really well.
Well, that did come up on our planning meeting. We have, so we're looking at doing different ideas, different packages. Part of it is we'll have to do things a little different, and things we want to focus a little more on moms, or as I say, it could be a +1 of, and what are we going to do with families? You know, a little more for families. It could be a girls' weekend. Let's leave dads at home and let's all the girls go to the track for their weekend. So we are looking at different types of events.
Okay, you said something about the race in the military base, and I've got a question from a text question from a viewer a little while down the list, but I'm going to go ahead and bring it on up because you mentioned that apparently it's an Air Force base near San Francisco.
Yep, in Coronado.
Oh, it's Coronado. Well, that's in the south. That's near San Diego. That's not near San Francisco. So the question from the texter was, is that the reason that Watkins Glen got moved to May?
No, that is not the only reason. If you look at the calendar, there were several locations that kind of shifted around a little bit, and in order to open up the opportunities for other locations is the reason why we got moved. You know, Iowa moved, so they have a different date, and there again, it's looking at how can we fit as many, you know, more races in throughout the year and in different locations throughout the states, and give the best racing that we can.
I'll tell you what, Coronado Island is absolutely beautiful. If you've never been there, that's a great place for a race, I'm just saying. All right, another text question. The weather can be cold and rainy in May. Does that concern you?
Well, I think it would, I mean, I say it's a concern, but we can have rain anytime. You know, we're weather dependent. It's one of them, but we can race and we can do all kinds of things. It's, we'll just plan for it. We'll have a plan A and a plan B, and we'll implement them depending on whatever Mother Nature dishes us out that week.
Okay, this question was about something that happened at the track this year. It said the ADA golf service at the race this season was not good. Twice there are no-shows. They could at least have called us back to tell us what was going on. Would you just tell them to contact you and say more about what they want to say?
Absolutely, absolutely. They can call us at the track. I do know that some folks, so our ADAs are dispatched, and sometimes they may drive past because they're headed to another fan that is already called for that. But we do have a lot, and we actually just talked about this, so we're probably going to increase our number of ADA next year just because of the demand, the increase in demand that we had this year over last year.
Right, that golf cart service is a nice thing. It really is, yeah. Rhonda used it.
I'm glad she enjoyed it.
Yes, she did. Okay, this is a good question, I think. My question is about the burn ban in New York. It continues until May 14th. How will campers be able to have fires to stay warm, and will be there exceptions made for campers? So
we actually, that was one thing that came up very early on, probably the same day or the day after we looked at that. We met with emergency services in Schuyler County, and if you look at the policy, or I should say the law on burning campfires, we fall within the confines of that. I think it's like 4 feet by 3 feet or something like that. And I'll tell you, our campers have some pretty good fires, but nothing that's outside of that. So we'll be within those limits to be able to have our campfires.
Okay, so they don't have to worry about that.
Nope, no worries.
I know that's going to relieve a lot of people. We got several questions about that.
Yep.
All right. I believe that the state park doesn't open until a week or two after the race, and a lot of people stay there. I've been staying there for 26 years. Will you work with them to see if they can open early?
Absolutely. So we've had some, you know, we've on ourselves have had some discussions about how many folks are at the state park, because if they don't have tickets or camping with us, we may not necessarily know where they're staying. But yes, we will look at that. There's already been some conversation does it make sense for us to do that? You also have to look at, we don't want to set a precedent for the rest of the state for state parks, but we do want to see if they'll open up for us.
You can see the number on your screen to text in your questions. All the questions I'm asking are text questions that have come in over the last 2 or 3 days. Another text question. Did NASCAR forget what happened at the New Hampshire race a few years ago? Are they going to have enough wreckers to pull campers out when they get stuck?
Well, so we'll be prepared, as we would for any other weekend. You know, IMSA, that we got some rain right before that, but we were able to handle that. So we will have additional equipment on hand if Mother Nature decides to have some bad days. But, you know, all in all, we're pretty prepared on a day-to-day basis. We'll just make sure that we are in heightened levels if we do get some bad weather.
And we may not. It may be gorgeous.
It could be beautiful. You know, if April could be beautiful and May could be a spectacular month. May could be very much like the last couple of weeks we've had, which have been nice and warm and sunny.
Wouldn't that be great?
It would be.
All right, so this is my question now. Is ARCA coming back?
So ARCA plans to do their announcement the first week in October, and right now the plan is that our schedule will be just the way it was this year.
Okay, so ARCA and the Craftsman trucks on Friday, and it won't be an Xfinity race though. Can you announce that
it's
now?
O'Reilly.
Okay,
right.
It's going to be the O'Reilly Series race, right? And then on Sunday the Cup. So that'll be the schedule.
Right, and we're looking to fit HSR back in. So they ran on Saturday twice because we were Friday got a little backed up and we ran out of daylight. So if all goes well, we'll bring them back as well. And people really like to see that group.
Yeah, I was really glad I was there on Friday of this year because I got to see the 15-year-old win the ARCA race, and that was outstanding. I missed Connor Zelich falling, and I'm glad I did, but he won there. And then he reeled off with a broken collarbone. He reeled off 3 more wins after that. He's won 7 out of the last 9 Xfinity Series races.
It's been pretty amazing to look at the talent that actually, that comes through the track and actually, wins and continues to win. That's, I think, what's the beauty of, the Glen and the road course.
Right. I can't remember if I asked you this last time. We're going to get back to your text questions next. And the only reason I think of that is our producer, Daniel Mustigo. He's here helping with the questions, and he was wearing a Lewis Hamilton shirt and hat today for F1. Any chance F1 comes back?
I get that question all the time, and everybody loves to have open wheel and see what's going on with that. It's really about the business model and does it make sense for us and for them. So I will never say never, but I won't say that it's in the near future for us to have that in our portfolio as a race. But I wouldn't say that there's never in the discussion.
Well, I grew up about an hour south of Indianapolis Motor Speedway, so I'd love to see the Indy cars come out. That would be a lot of fun, but that's probably not going to happen for a while. All right, back to the text question. This comes from a viewer. What happened to Winefest?
So, Winefest was started and was very successful for a long time. It really took a heavy hit during COVID. And it struggled to come back after COVID. And part of it is, I don't think it was all COVID. I think it was just part of it is, wineries could start to ship. And, wineries got very creative during COVID because people couldn't necessarily come in and stay. So they offered a lot of events, and their event schedules increased, which, I actually thought was perfect. And so you can go, the wineries, distilleries, and breweries, any day of the week, basically, you can go anywhere to get music and food and enjoy the wines and the other beverages. So when there wasn't a place for people to have to go to try and be a part, our attendance continued to wane. And so, once again, we're in a business. So it just didn't, the model just didn't work anymore the way it was.
Yeah, you're not a charity.
No, we're a business. So would we like to fill the weekend with something else in 2026? Absolutely. Do we have that magic recipe yet? No. The team met again today trying to, figure out, what is the right thing to bring back to the community or bring to the community? Is it something new? Is it a music festival? What is it?
I'll vote for that.
Yeah, everybody would.
Yeah, I bet.
But we don't want to compete with, CMAC. We don't want to compete with tags. We want to be considerate of our other venues around as well. So hopefully by the end of the year we'll have it figured out for 2026, and it'll be in the summer. Something will be in the 2026.
Well, with the size of your venue, though, you could bring in bands that the other places around here could not do.
You're absolutely right.
That's something to think of. Okay, I'm going to ask one more question, then we got to go to break. And I am going to ask you this, even though I don't understand it. I'm hoping you do.
I'll try.
Why, when it's relocation time and you call to relocate, there are very few spots available? I've known people to get spots in an area that I wanted just because of who they are. I don't understand that question.
So when there's relocation, you would be called to say, I want to move from A to B. If B has not been opened because somebody didn't vacate it, then you wouldn't be able to get your necessarily spots or thing. They're implying that somebody is already getting that spot because they know somebody.
I see.
It's really, this is done by a team. Some of my folks are here, and then there's also a team in Daytona that helps with relocation that is, is part of our track, but they physically sit someplace else. So I would struggle to support the fact that somebody's getting a move or not getting a move because of who they are, but it really is, when something opens up, the next person in line is where it falls.
All right, well, so the track's owned by NASCAR. How confident are you that the Watkins Glen race is going to stay on the NASCAR schedule?
I'm pretty confident. We did they've continued to put capital funding into our property.
They bought all that property off of one side, right?
We did. So the Esses Development Project, which was off Meads Hill Road, which is buffer property, it's property next to ours, we purchased that this summer. It's about 177 acres, so we're just shy of 2,000 acres now. And the reason we did that is their project didn't go to fruition, but we really decided that that was good property for us to have as buffer property and for future growth for anything we might want to do at the track. Could we expand our camping? Absolutely. Could we relocate some of our weekend camping and then get some more trackside camping along the backstretch? So we're really looking at ways to utilize that property better. And that's what the NASCAR group in Daytona realized as well. So we did do that, as well as continuing to do capital projects on the property.
Wouldn't it be nice? I mean, a lot of sports do have homes and apartments where you can actually watch the events. Wouldn't it be nice to have it just like a 8-9-story apartment building, a wide one where everybody had a balcony overlooking the track?
I'd never leave.
That would be kind of cool, wouldn't it? We could throw some heck of parties there. All right, we're going to take a break, and then we'll be back. You see the number on your screen, 607-667-1818. That is just for text messages. Send them to us now, and we'll get to as many as we can. We'll be back with Dawn Burlew in just a few minutes. Hold on, please. We were just having a sidebar conference about learning how to drive a stick shift. So I won't get into why, but let's just say a member of my family is trying to learn it right now. So we'll be back with Dawn Burlew now, President of Watkins Glen International. Okay, so are you concerned about how muddy the camping areas could get and how hard it'll be to get RVs and campers out of the muck?
So, you know, that's part of our, as I say, Plan B. Right. We'll implement that. You know, we're talking about, do we have some more folks out in our camping areas to help folks stay on the roads and then not cut cross lot to get to their camping spot, and help backing people, getting people backed in and stuff like that. But sure, we're concerned.
It went away.
But it can't be a showstopper. It has to be that we'll plan for instances where people get stuck, and we'll deal with it from there.
Question just came in. Was the decision to move the race due to any plans to build around or on the track?
No, it wasn't. Anything that we're doing for a capital project, we did this year with some bathrooms, and you know, we built our new building last year. Things like that. But no, we didn't. It was not had anything to do with any major capital projects. When we purchased the property on Meads Hill Midsummer was strictly as buffer property.
Okay, we've got another. And by the way, I want to apologize to everybody who's sending in text questions, because our automatic reply says, "Thank you for submitting a question for the 18 News Crime Prevention Special," which was like a month ago, and I'm sorry I forgot to change that. But and stop calling. Don't call the number, because we will not answer it, he says as he hangs up on that person. All right, is this a one-year date or a continuous new date?
So, you know, as I talked about earlier, the calendar every year changes, and we have just been super lucky for a number of years not to have our date shifted around. So we're building the 2027 schedule right now. The team in Daytona is, and they're looking at the series and the locations. And as each race completes, then we look at all the numbers and, you know, do the analytics on it and say, you know, does this puzzle still work, or does this puzzle piece need to change? You know, of course, when I heard it, mine was August is the best date, because that's where we've always been, and we're a super traditional track, so that's where we want to be. So 2027 is being built. So we'll see where we end up, you know, come August of next year.
Another text question, and I'm not sure that it has anything to do with it, but I'm going to ask you. He said, why does a track like Iowa outdo our track at Watkins Glen? I'm not sure there's even a connection, is there?
Oh, there is. So the connection is Iowa moved, when they moved Iowa, it moved to our date. And so that, our date is not open, but that's what happened, is our date open. And then the first week in August, which is the weekend of the 2nd, that is an open weekend. And so, you know, the drivers and owners, they're running flat out, you know, from January through. So they were looking at a week in the early spring, or late spring, excuse me, until in summer, like a break. You know, everybody gets run down. So this year they're trying, or next year they're trying a spring break and then a early summer break, or late summer break, I should say. And so that's how it got bumped. And then Iowa moved over, and there's a timing. Iowa has a timing answer, just like we all do with weather and things like that. They can't go too early, they can't go too late.
Right.
So it was all just part of the puzzle that was put together.
A lot of questions coming in about campers. Did NASCAR forget what happened at the New Hampshire race a few years ago? Are they going to have enough wreckers to pull campers out when they get stuck? That's a variation of the question that was already asked, but
Right.
I didn't know what happened at New Hampshire. I figured you probably would.
And other than they had bad weather and people, there were a lot of people stuck. How about I say that?
I bet you're getting a lot of feedback about this, but I'm just going to read this question just as it was sent in. Why didn't NASCAR think about families when scheduling the race in May? I mean, a lot of children might not be able to go because of school and spring sports events.
So we have that question a lot. And there again, we've been very fortunate with having our race during the summer. But we race, the racing season is actually from January through November, and school is in session during the rest of the year. We've just been very lucky. So if you're in another location, school is in session. So yes, it was thought about, but it just makes us the same as other tracks that are in session.
Right.
Or other schools that are in session. So it's another one of those things that happen when you move dates, but it was a consideration.
Here's a variation of a question I asked you earlier. It came from me. Will IndyCar be back in 2026 or 2027? Now, this shows my knowledge or lack of knowledge. Did IndyCar ever race at WGI?
Yes. I mean, yes, they did. No, they're not coming back in 26, 27.
Right.
I don't want to give people the wrong impression that what question I was answering. But yes, they were here before, raced for a long time here. But no, we do not have any plans to bring them back at this time for 26 or 27.
Okay. Have you noticed over the last several years, midway events and vendors have become sparser? Seems like we need to bring back some of the longtime sponsors from years ago, like Camping World, Zippo, etc. And can you bring more kid-friendly activities to Midway? Pocono now does a great job of this. Are there any plans underway? Now, I know you all have had bowling alleys.
We do. We have, during our Go Bowling at the Glen, we have a bowling alley set up. We also have the NASCAR experience set up, which this year we moved to another location so it could be spread out and a little larger, which gets a lot of activity. So interestingly enough, the partners, such as Zippo and all them, they become entitlement partners, or they have a 2 or 3 year, depending on the agreement they have with us, and just times change. And they're the ones that determine if there's going to be giveaways. We don't determine if there's giveaways.
Right, I hear you. Yeah, because you're not a charity. I keep going back to that. Okay.
I didn't say that.
This question we just got in a little while ago kind of goes into a question I was going to ask you, because I thought it was really cool to have a full-blown dandy mart at the track. I thought that was great.
Well, thank you.
And then they added the beer cave, and man, it was like everybody's going, oh, this is great. And they want to know, will there be more dandy stores at the track?
Our plan is to support the one that we have there.
Right.
We are super excited to have the relationship that we have with the Dandy, Dandy and the Williams family. Because that was an idea, and I will tell you, they just latched onto it and produced a super product for us and have done really well this summer. So I think they'll continue to, as I say, massage their menu around and things like that, where, some people are saying, can we do deliveries? Well, that's great, but if you want to deliver at 11 o'clock at night a load of pizzas and you go, are you Camp 10? Somebody's going to go, yeah, I'm Camp 10.
Yeah, they will. And I was going to ask you about that, so I'm glad you said that, because there's just no way. I would assume Dandy isn't going to branch out into drone delivery at the track either. That might be a little bit
That would be a little
different.
tricky.
Yeah, it would be. Would be. Okay, so are there any previously scheduled events at the track next year having to move because of the NASCAR date change?
So the second week, what we did is that our traditional week, and then we moved to May, was a track rental group, which was looking to move, and so they were fine with moving to another date. We did not lose anybody. We actually were able to pick up another track rental when the date changed.
Is there any talk of 2 NASCAR races at the track? I guess they're talking about like having one in May one year and then one back in August.
And that has not come up to have 2 races at at our track next year. Excuse me, 2027. That has not come up.
Okay. As you know, Andy Malnowski and I came out to meet with you and Stephanie Harris last week, and when I got out of the car to walk into the administrative building, there were race cars running on the track. I mean, they were real race cars. You could tell by the sound, right? And I said to Andy, man, they must do stuff up here all year. And we were talking about that before we went on the air. And you have stuff going on all the time.
We do. So from opening weekend, which is usually the first weekend in April, until the end of October, we have cars on track 7 days a week. And that could be anything from car clubs to car testing. you name it, we come. But we do. We're open 7 days a week, and our car clubs are usually 2 or 3 days at a time. So if they come in on Sunday, they're out on Tuesday or Wednesday, and our turnover is from 5:30 to 6 at night. And usually our 6 o'clock club is ready at 5 or so. They're sitting in the parking lot waiting to get in, which is pretty exciting to see, because you'll see all different types of series come in, and they do training schools. It's all kind of interesting stuff that happens there. So we do. You hear cars all the time. When it's quiet is when you kind of go, well, what's happened?
Yeah, one of the most intriguing events you do is letting people come on the track and drive their own cars. Do you have any more of those dates coming up before you shut down?
We do. We have Drive the Glen, which happens every day at 12 and 5 o'clock. And the only reason it would not happen is just because of the car club that's there, or we have a major Drive the Glen group, say a Jeep group or something like that, that has taken up all the spots. But we do that 7 days a week. You can buy your ticket online at theglen.com. You can also come to Gate 2. They usually start lining up about 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning, and about 3:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah, I'll bet. Now, but you can't just go flat out, right? There are restrictions for how fast you can drive.
There is. So we have a pace car, and then we also have a tail car to kind of keep everybody in check, so to speak, and keep them safe. And the speed is, it's kind of geared by the types of cars we get and the age of the drivers and things like that, so they look at it.
Okay. Another text question. Do the NASCAR drivers have any say in the schedule and where they race week to week?
So so the drivers, owners, NASCAR competition, NASCAR leadership, it's not a one-person decision. It's an organization that it gets together and looks at the calendar, and that's, one of the things they said is, we need a break. There's got to be a little break. You're running flat out for, 36 weeks. That's a hefty summer, and 7 days a week.
You know what was impressive to me? I had a chance when we did our live newscast from there on Friday before, on Craftsman Truck Series Friday. I got to interview John, I think it's middle name Henry Nemechek.
John Hunter Nemechek.
John Hunter Nemechek. And just looking, when I talked to him about how he likes to run Watkins Glen, his eyes sparkled. I mean, they really did. It was apparent to me that I've always heard the drivers really liked racing at Watkins Glen. That showed me it was true. I mean, because you could tell the guy was really fired up. He was ready to get out there.
Yep, it's pretty exciting. Some people will, some drivers are better on road courses than they are on other courses, but it really just depends on their skill and what they're looking for to get out of their car in their race. But I will tell you, they all will say when they come that it's Watkins Glen, and it's iconic. It's part of history. It's the start of motorsports, and they want to be a part of it.
Well, he said he hiked the Watkins Glen Trail, the State Park Trail.
He did.
And I told him, man, that's a great trail. Yeah. So.
A lot of our drivers and their families will go out, and they spend a lot of time in the community when they're here.
And then, pardon me, the name slips my mind. He's the melon farmer.
Oh, Ross Chastain.
He came up to the sheriff's camp and was skipping rocks. And I think it was you that told me the story. Brad Kozlowski, that's who it was. And you told me the story about what he said about that.
Yeah, we came back from fishing out on Keuka Lake, which part of our project that day at the sheriff's camp was, you can go fishing and you may catch and you may not. It's kind of like winning or losing a race. Luckily, Brad had a very successful fishing excursion. And when he came back, he was walking on the shore of Keuka Lake, and it's actually beautiful at the sheriff's camp there, and he knelt down and he skipped a few rocks, and then he turned around and he looked up and he saw the big sign on the side of the camp building that says, "No skipping rocks." And he kind of smirked and looked at me, as you have this whole sea of campers looking at him, just in awe that they got a chance to see him.
Right.
And he went, how long has it been since I, took the time to skip a rock? And he goes, don't anybody do it. He said, but man, did that feel good.
Yeah, I'll bet. And you got to love Ross Chastain's Protect Your Melon campaign,
oh my gosh,
because he did that downtown Watkins Glen this year.
He did. We were with him that day, and he was at the Corning Museum of Glass for our Winning Wednesday, and he talked to the kids there from the Corning Parks program about safe bike riding, and we gave them all bike helmets that day, and just talked to them about being a good person and being a part of your community and riding safe.
Okay, here's one more question before we take our next break. Just curious, does WGI in any way support local tracks around the state? Thank you.
So I'm assuming they mean, so financial support, no, we don't have necessarily. We do some cross promotions, such as with the track in Dundee, we've done that before. We did a couple events with them last year. We've done events with baseball teams. We were with the Bills, I think twice this year, doing some cross promotion with them. But we don't have any financial support in any way.
Right. Yeah, okay. And while we're on that subject, I got to apologize to some people who invited me to come to a race at Chemung Speedrome. I said I would, and for reasons, because we had family members moving in, I wasn't able to come. Next year I'll be there, I promise. I felt bad about not being there.
It's a great place.
Oh, I mean, I grew up with a little bitty dirt track in my little hometown in southern Indiana, and it was a lot of fun. It really was.
Everybody has to start, and I'll tell you, they've put a lot of talent through that track in the number of years it's been open. So it's a place people need to visit.
I learned a lot about dirt track racing from Lightning McQueen. I did. That's pretty funny. All right, we'll be back in 2 minutes. Hope you'll stick around. Welcome back to our live special. We're here with Watkins Glen International President Dawn Burlew. We're talking about all things Watkins Glen, the history of the race, anything you want to ask. You're texting in your questions. We have several more to get to, so keep going. Another text question. Is the Go Bowling sponsorship still good to go for next year? And if not, what organization will step in?
Go Bowling is set for 2026, so we're pretty excited to have them there again. They're a great partner with us, you know, and the idea would be to have our bowling lanes back again. We've got some great local bowlers here, and maybe we reach out to them.
You've got a great, we were just talking in the break about an event you got coming up in the next couple of weeks. It sounds pretty cool.
We do. We have, it's called Embers and Engines, and we're doing this with the local Hooked on Driving group. And it'll be on Saturday, October 11th, and it's at the track. And we're going to do some drifting in the afternoon from 3 to 7, and we're going to have Double Barrel, the band, that'll be starting at 7 to 10. We're going to do campfires and s'mores, and it'll be in the Grove, which is directly across from the garage. And we'll have the Mark Twain trolley. I'll be serving our beverages out of it. It's been completely redone. The team at the Glen remodeled that, and it's beautiful. And there'll be picnic tables, and really it's just to invite the community out and come to be a part of the Glen on a great fall evening.
I hope my wife just heard that, because I would want her to be my designated driver. Just saying, getting back from there to the house would be a little bit of a drive. All right, so another viewer question. When will they run the boot?
So when will NASCAR run the boot? So a few things we'd have to do. So the safety on the boot has to be upgraded a little, significantly to run the NASCAR, and the timing of the race. So the length of the race would have to be changed, and that impacts broadcasting. So that's a bigger change than just saying, okay, let's add the boot in. So there's a few big things that has to happen in order for them to run it.
Okay, is the boot the part of the track that's not used for the race? That's me,
right.
The
NASCAR's the only one that doesn't run the boot. All our other series run the boot. Our daily clubs run the boot. Yep.
Okay, another viewer text. After Connor Zilich won the Xfinity Series race and then had his bad fall, did NASCAR change any rules?
You know, there was a lot of question about that the following few days and weeks, and no, they did not change the rules that I'm aware of it yet. I think they talked about it, and there was really impact is we're not going to change the way they want to celebrate.
Okay, so obviously people want to see the Cup Series race, but this year's ARCA Menard Series had what I thought was an outstanding result. I mean, the whole reason I bring that back up again is you can't just, if you really want to get the whole experience, I think you got to come to at least part of all 3 days, because there was just so many different things going on. I didn't realize, seeing the trucks up close for the first time, first of all, I didn't realize they'd be that loud. I told my son, I took my 21-year-old son with me, right? And I said, be prepared, because they're going to be loud. Hell yeah, right, Dad, right. We walked out onto the area right over the Victory Lane,
yeah,
and he's just standing there going, because it was loud. I mean, so the Craftsman Truck Series are a lot of fun. Then you had ARCA, and then you got next year the O'Reilly Series. So there's all kinds of different things Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
It's a packed few days. And I will tell you, having the haulers come in and out is actually pretty neat to see when they cross the track and they come in, and then we line them all up. So that is a dance in itself by our operations director to get them all in so they can race and be ready. But when you can see that many series in 3 days, 4 races in 3 days, and then if we add HSR, and it'll be 5 races in 3 days, that's a lot of racing for people to enjoy for one ticket.
Well, it's not just the racing. I mean, I like just going around looking at the Cup Series haulers.
Oh, they're beautiful.
They were amazing. And then some of these RVs that people bring in, I mean, my gosh, they cost more than 6 of my houses, and they were beautiful, absolutely gorgeous.
They're gorgeous, and people want to talk about it. And we have, as I say, collaboration areas everywhere for people to sit and chat, and you'll find people just sitting down and meeting people that for all over the country because they just have something in common about racing.
That's one of the stories I hear over and over, people saying they've been camping there for years and they have their own communities, they've met people over time, now they all camp together every year.
I describe it as each one of our camping areas is a different neighborhood. It has a different feel, and that's what makes it so cool and so fun. You can drive from one area to another and get a whole different vibe.
All right, another viewer question via text, and you can see the number on your screen. What determines ticket prices? For all events there this year, they were higher than past years.
So our ticket prices, you did see an increase because our tickets stayed at a price for, they stayed pretty level, as I would describe it, for a number of years. And, just economics forced some increases. People did see an increase when we moved to Ticketmaster because there are additional fees for that, as there is in any event that you buy through a processing company. But what it did do is it allowed us to get a broader base for our fans and easier access for them. We're still working through some kinks of the system, I would say, but I do believe that it was a good move for us to go to that way.
Well, one thing about Ticketmaster, and I'm certainly not endorsing any ticket brokers because they all make way too much money. But when you go on the website and you go to Ticketmaster to buy a ticket, all the price, it's up front.
Right.
They're not hiding the fees, and some of the others do. Even though in New York, you're not supposed to legally do that, but it still happens. But Ticketmaster does not do that. If you see a price on the Ticketmaster website, that's the price. All the fees are included. Again, that is not an endorsement for any ticket broker. I hate them all. All right, are there plans or thoughts to make the Cup race longer? That's a good question. 100 plus laps versus 90.
Not to my knowledge at this point. That's a very interesting question. Because if you love racing and you want to be there at the Glen, and like it was a beautiful weekend this time, you can sit there and you could watch racing, all day long. So, but right now there's no conversation about increasing the number of laps.
Okay.
And the distance.
All right. So another text question: why are we not able to have paper tickets mailed? We get our pit terrace permit mailed. Not tech savvy enough to use phone to transfer tickets, and we don't always come up at the same time. Thank you.
So that was a transition that we've been making for a couple years now, was to move away from printing tickets and mailing tickets. One is it's very expensive, and trying to look at, is there any way we can continue to cut costs and not, pass them on to our fan base. So that is the reason why we're moving to Ticketmaster. Ticketmaster is online, and you can get them on your phone, your iPad, wherever. And if you do have people coming in different groups, 2 different cars, which that happens all the time, there is a way that both cars can have the tickets, and it can be purchased by one individual.
I will say that having observed your team, even sitting there meeting with you last week, they're moving around fast, they're getting things done. I thought, when I was there to pick up our station's credentials, there were big lines of people. It just bang, bang, and went really smoothly. It seems like you all really are a well-oiled machine when it comes to that sort of thing.
Well, we're not the only track that does it. All of our tracks are NASCAR. All of our tracks in NASCAR use Ticketmaster. And especially in August and even in May, they've had, a lot of our team members have been working all year, and several of my team members travel to other tracks. So our ticketing director moves to another track, our credentialing person is in another track, and they support multiple ones. So they have a lot of practice before we ever get to May, next year as well as this year. So it is a well-oiled machine, I will tell you. We're pretty blessed to have the team we have. Well,
I like the fact that you told me when we met, you said after a couple of days thinking about it, your team just said, we got this.
They did.
Do it. Yeah, that's cool. All right, good question here. Texted in, will motorcycles ever run at the Glen? That's a good question.
So race at the Glen, we have not had that conversation, but I will tell you this year, after we had the Kyle Petty charity ride across America visit us, we decided that we would do Drive the Glen for motorcycles, and we've had a couple of them which went well, and actually this weekend we had a large group of motorcycles on the track for Drive the Glen.
Yeah, didn't the American Pride ride that started in Horseheads, didn't that get to ride around the track? That's what I thought.
So it's just a little different, you know, just because of the speed and going through the S's and up through the things, but we do have them there.
Okay, here's my question. In the last few days, a network came out with the cost of a hot dog at every Major League Baseball stadium and National Football League venue. The most expensive was more than $10. I'm not spending $10 for a hot dog, but that is what they charge some places, you know. The cheapest was around $2.50. Do you know, you may not know the answer to this, but how does Watkins Glen compare to concession prices at other NASCAR venues?
So actually the food service that we use, which is Levy, supports all of our tracks. It's the same food service company, and the prices are relative to the location that they're in. So our price may be a little different than, say, Phoenix, or maybe a little different than Daytona, but I would say it would be probably similar to Martinsville, Iowa, Richmond. Yeah.
Right.
But it's the same company that provides all of us.
I see. So we don't really know.
I don't know the exact price of a hot dog. Nope.
No, I don't either, because I haven't bought one. But I will know you have in the press area. You have amazing ice cream.
We
really
do.
Yeah. All right. One of the questions we got a lot of from our viewers has to do with Mother's Day, and I know we've discussed that, but you know, people maybe didn't tune in right off the bat. Why was the decision made to race on Mother's Day? Because that's traditionally not been a NASCAR race day. And that was the one, that and mud in the camping area, those were the two things about which we got the most text questions.
I think, so one of the, you know, deciding factors, again, was expanding the locations that we raced in next year for the schedule. So when you did that and adding more, you know, locations, adding more across the country, and then when you put all the series in, so getting us to 4 series is pretty exciting. So when you lay all those, as I say, all those puzzles on top of each other on the calendar, then you start moving the pieces around to figure out how can you fit them all in with all the new locations that we want to go to continue to, you know, innovate, as I said, and just be creative to the areas that we, I mean, to race on a military base, that's just a crazy, great idea. But then we're not doing Chicago Street Race, we're going to Chicagoland, which is you know, different for those folks as well. But there's little changes everywhere, and to land us on Mother's Day, you're right. They did say that they'd never do that, but they've raced on it before, and this year it's our race. So we're looking at it as it's our time to embrace moms and embrace the weekend in, you know, upstate New York.
It's not unprecedented, but it's rare. It's rare.
It's rare. It's for us. We've, you know, as everybody says, we haven't moved from the August date, so for us it's a big change. But I think for our fan base, they'll support it because they're true NASCAR fans, and I think we may get some more folks out to say, God, we could spend Mother's Day at the track. I've never done that before. Right.
Now, you, I'm sure, have had conversations with Watkins Glen business owners. And we went up there and interviewed some of them. It seemed like positivity was the order of the day. Do you have people mostly been saying, hey, yeah, we can embrace this, we'll do it? Sure.
So, you know, if I was a business owner, and the way they looked at it is they're actually opening their summer season 2 weeks early. Usually we all know it focuses around Memorial Day. Will it put a little pressure on us to get resources? Because, you know, our college students are just getting home right then.
Right.
But I do believe it's going to kick off the summer season for us in this area, and we're excited to be able to do that.
That was another text question I just forgot to ask. A person wanted to know, will the dates cause problems with getting volunteers and college students coming in to help out, or college students coming to the track?
Well, so we're already planning on that. We've done a reach out to several of our volunteer organizations, and most of them said, we're signing up. They have very diverse groups that want to be a part of us and take part in the weekend. We're talking about our interns, because, you know, a lot of the college students don't get home, so we're trying to figure out how we will still get our interns in, because they're a vital part of our team. So we're going to work for it. Things will probably be a little different for us, but if we have to, we also work with Express Employment. They've been super good to work with the last few years that we've used them for additional help if we need it. So there again, it's our Plan A and Plan B, and we'll just invoke each one as they need to be.
Try LinkedIn. I got to tell you what, it's changed so much. We get almost all of our people, because we recruit from all over the country when we bring in the kids out straight out of college, and we're getting almost all of them through LinkedIn. That's changed. That's a big change over the last couple of years. It's
huge. You know, for us, the beauty of going through in like Express is they do all the paperwork and they handle all that, and you know, they do a great training job for us to for them to what's going on at the track and how we operate. So, which is super important to us for the customer service, the guest service piece of it. So, for us, that's worked out really well.
Well, you kidding? Those interns are going to love wearing that credential that says, you know, essential or whatever. That's pretty cool.
We've had, you know, since I've been there, and I'm sure prior to it, we've been super fortunate to have some interns. A couple we had last year were from Corning, and then one from Odessa Montour, and a couple from Horseheads. And I'll tell you, I'd take any of them back in a heartbeat.
They may want to come back. All right, one more question before we go to break. When is the best time to try to buy a camping spot for next year? 2 years ago, I think you sold out of camping spots. Last year, or this year, I don't think you did,
We were
right?
close. Yeah. We were very close this year. I would, if you're looking for, I would get your camping in now. Renewals will end in, you know, shortly. And then it's, you know, camping is open again. So if somebody's looking for a camping spot and you have a particular area you want to be in, I would give our ticketing office a call soon.
Yeah, soon. Yeah, and because again, the window is a lot less open than it was in the past, a lot shorter time period. All right, we're going to be back to wrap up this hour-long program with Dawn Burlew. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes. I hope you'll stick around. Welcome back to, I almost said Talk of the Tiers, because I guess you could call this a special prime time version of Talk of the Tiers. Anyway, we're here talking about everything NASCAR and Watkins Glen with Watkins Glen International President Dawn Burlew. During the break, you were saying about what happened. The time period for you guys just compressed dramatically, but your team is handling it well. They are. So, you know, when the announcement went out on Wednesday, we all kind of just took a couple days. We had a bunch to do. We just came off a super busy month, and then we still have another 2 months to go. So we took Thursday and Friday and kind of said, okay, what are we going to do? So Friday I came in, like, we're cheerleading on this. Monday I came in and I said, we own this. And they're like, okay, yep, we own it. We got it, we own it, we're planning. And I will tell you, we spent Tuesday of that week like 5 or 6 hours in a planning meeting, and they had more ideas and more energy. It was just incredible to see them say, you know what, we can do this. We're going to produce a great event. We just have 4 less months, but we're starting today. And that's pretty amazing to think that they're flat out right now, still, with everything that's going on at the track, to say, we might not have as much time as we did before, but we're going to do it. I've been involved with planning some pretty good big events, nothing like what you guys do, nothing close to what you guys do. But it takes so much planning, because you're not just looking at the big things, you got to look at all the minutia too. You got to get all, because you can't get the big things right till you get the little things right. So it is, and you know, we have multiple plans, as I always say. You know, we're running multiple things at one time to produce the event, especially when you do the multiple series that we do, and we let our campers in early. Which is very different. So, you know, other locations don't let them in as early as we do, and a lot of our campers stay till Monday, right? Which is also very, you know, different from other locations. So we have folks there for, you know, 5 or 6 days at a time for the race. So we don't just shut the doors at the end of the day and say, see you tomorrow. So for us, it's super important to understand what they want to do when they're there, and how do we take care of them and meet their needs, such as ADA and things like that. Right. So. Planning has already started, and they're coming up with some really cool ideas that we're going to try to kind of blow out over the next couple weeks, and you'll start seeing packages, and we'll start trickling out some information when we get them figured out. But I'm pretty excited that we have some really neat ideas for next May. One of the nicest things I think y'all do is you let not-for-profits come up, pick up all the bottles and cans and recycle them. I mean, the Elmira Heights Volunteer Fire Department, They sent us some pictures.
Did you see that?
It was a huge pile, and that was just a fraction of what's there. It boggles the mind. Anyway, no, it does. I mean, that's pretty nice that you guys do that, because it helps those organizations out.
It does, and our track is very fortunate that I have a team leader that helps us with and manages our whole recycling, which we've really just grown in the past 2 years. And we do everything from glass to cardboard to metal, and it's paid off. We've done a lot of things with it. We put it into our race foundation last year. We helped out fire departments. We've done a lot of things with it. So at the end of the day, it really gives our team pride that we are able to contribute to non-for-profits. And at the end of the year, the team picks the non-for-profits that we want to give to. It's not something I do. We literally sit around a table and we all say our name, you know, what non-for-profits we may have, and we vote on them, and then we determine as a team how much they each get, and we bring everybody together to do those type of things. I'm
assuming the Jim Turpin Beer Fund would probably not qualify, but...
Well, it might.
Yeah. Okay, well, here we go. Another text question. Was there a decrease in sales when the Glen was in September compared to August? That's a good question.
It is a very good question. So we saw I will tell you, a slight decrease in our admission numbers from August, when the race moved from August to September, from the traditional time to our playoff time. But I think the reason that it stayed pretty strong is because it was a playoff race.
Right. Okay, well, we're running out of time. We've just got a couple of minutes left, rather. So I should ask you, what have we not talked about that you'd like people to know?
That, you know, the Glen is open. We want people to come. We want people to get behind us. We want the community to get behind us for the May date, because at the end of the year, at the end of the season, being part of the community is what we're here for and what we want to be. And we contribute to the community, and our team members live here. They are part of our community. So we want to have a successful 2026, just like we did have a 2025. Come out and see us in a couple weeks at our Embers and Engines event. It's our thank you event to the community, and I think that'll be a good time. Get to see some drifting with Hooked on Driving, and give us your ideas for 2026, because right now the slate is still pretty open. We're in the planning phase.
And you guys have a lot of stuff going on. I mean, you really do. I mean, we could sit here and talk about it, but I think unless somebody goes up and sees, I mean, it's like Monday through Sunday stuff going on, and it's not just around NASCAR week. It seems like it's all year long.
We have car clubs in, like I said, we've got car clubs in, tire testing, we got schools in, driving schools. We have a lot of schools in. We have sister cities in next week. We're doing a program with the Odessa Montour School that'll start up in October, that'll go all the way till the end of the school year, and their capstone will be at our IMSA race. So yeah, there's tons going on for just about everybody. So as you know, and I always say there's something for everybody, I truly believe there's something for everybody.
Yeah. You all drove the pace car down to Elmira, let the kids see it, then you brought those kids up to the track and gave them swag bags. That was fantastic.
And new sneaks.
And new sneaks. That's right. Hey, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
It seems like it's been a long hour, because there were an awful lot of questions, and you know, I know you can't guarantee what the weather's going to be like, but we're headed into 2026. Thanks for being here, Dawn.
Thank you.
See you again soon. Thanks for joining us. See you at 18 News at 10 on the CW.